Ladies and Germans, how you all doing? This is Connell. We're coming to you with some more Company of Heroes 2 action. Today we have ourselves a 1v1 in Kholdny Ferma between Hector over here, who has already selected his Feuersturm Doctrine for his OKW, and Caesar, another top 20 player, playing as the UKF. Well, he might be bringing on in Mobile Assault, a Royal Engineer, or Special Weapons or Regiment. Now, the reason I picked this one up, it's not going to be a particularly long game. I picked this one up, though, because we have Feuersturm Doctrine. I wanted to see how well it worked over here on top of this particular map. Now, the lovely thing about it is that the Sturm Pioneers now get a lot more utility by being able to bring in those Flammenwerfer 35 flamethrowers, which are just absolutely wonderful. And very much comparable to the material that the Pioneers can get for the normal kind of Wehrmacht. But having that added in, well, at that point, the Sturm Pioneers, who are already deadly, have kind of medium to long range, get that much worse, especially on a map like Kholdny Ferma, with this church where everyone seems to go, as well as this low shacks that you see in the kind of the north-central part of the map. And you can see Hector's starting to work towards that already. He's already wired off one of the approaches into the munitions point over here to the north part of the map. And he is coming out. Actually, he's... Ooh, interesting. He started off now with a dual Sturm Pioneer opening into Volksgrenadiers, and they get in just barely before these Tommies do, and that's going to be terrible news for Caesar's troops. Now, Caesar has opened up kind of classically with the triple infantry section, and apparently he's going for some trenches as well, so he's playing a very defensive style, looking to kind of lock down some of his own territory as he expands to pick up his fuel point. But yes, Hector nevertheless is continuing just to start, bringing out his troops a little bit more further forward. He picks up this point right here, and at that point he'll get his munitions up quite a bit. And taking it away from the Brits is still a fantastic idea. What's more, if he can able to expand over here to the southeast, he'll be able to place a lot more of those Flammenwerfers at only 60 munitions per upgrade. That's pretty fantastic. What's more, infantry sections are not going to do particularly well against these STGs, especially if they're trying to build out in the open. And while both guys are going to be in negative cover, they're going to get forced on back, and there goes, yep, OKW is going to take that position. Now, Vickers is being brought on in, and Hector has kind of broken away from picking up tons and tons of Sturm Pioneers, preferring to go for one Sturm Pioneer into two Volksgrenadier sections, which means... and Caesar is even trying to figure out whether or not Hector's just spamming our Sturm Pioneers. Now, in the early game, that's a viable strategy until at least this Vickers comes on out. And this Vickers, you can bet, is going to go into one of two places, either here or here, at least to dominate at least the center part of this map. And Hector now, after kind of giving a little bit of mystery, is going into another Volksgrenadier section. He's not upgrading at all into the next SWS, and he really doesn't have to. Instead, I think he's just going to go... Yep, there's the first Flammenwerfer coming on in. Where is it? Down to the south? No. Okay, I swore I just saw one. Where the heck did that thing go? It's getting brought in by somebody. Oh, never mind. He's calling it back out. Alright. So he's not calling it in just yet. And yep, that Vickers is in fact in the church, which means we will probably see a Flammenwerfer the second that he notices that weapon's emplacement there. And he's farting in and around, not quite picking up these things, not quite not. And instead it looks like he might be putting down a couple of mines. Yep, shoe mine down to the south. I'm on this common pathing obstacle here. And the Germans do have a 2-0 cap. Caesar, in the meantime, has gone up for a platoon command post, which means that he does call in a Royal Engineer squad. With their stun guns, will be pretty good to be in kind of close combat. But all in all, I think it's... early part of this is definitely going over to Hector. And he's just asserting his dominance, flanking one of these infantry sections already, sending that packing, and now he's got a Flammenwerfer. That's having a bit of a brain fart here, finally getting off a burst of flame. And okay, so 2-0 cap. And what do we got down to the south? Well, infantry section is kind of being very tentative. Seems Caesar is kind of surprised by this. What's more, he's actually putting down his own mine, which is not the greatest of opportunities, not the greatest of ideas. It's M6, which is nice, but the STGs are going to come on in, and they get suppressed just barely in time, so Hector's got to back on off, or he's going to lose the Sturm Pioneers. Question is, can he turn it back around? He apparently can. He's going to flame on, and between the Volksgrenadiers giving supporting fire, he will force the Royal Engineers away. So that's pretty good. pretty good. Is he going to go? No, he can't do that. He's just going to book it back past this machine gun, who's going to take one burst of fire, and then he should be able to get away pretty much in time. Volksgrenadiers forced back in the meantime by this 2 infantry section push. And Caesar just still doesn't have a whole lot to answer this. Another Flammenwerfer coming on in for this Sturmpioneer section, and it's a mech regiment. That's even more surprising. MG-34 is the first call-in for this second battle phase. And I think the humorous thing for me is that nobody has tried to pick up the center VP, neither British nor German. And now we're going to see ourselves a 3-inch mortar emplacement, which is uncommon. Not because the mortar is bad. I mean, if anything, the mortar is still a very vital piece of equipment over here in the UKF kind of arsenal. But just people don't seem to play with it that much. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there who's going to say, yes, every single meta player for UKF does it, her. But I haven't seen it that much recently. So I'm more often siege than expand into an AEC. But we have a moment now, a moment of relative quiet, I would say. As the Brits now take the southern VP and are looking to take away, or have already taken the northern one. Volksgrenadiers not able to push back any of these marauding pushes by this infantry section here, and the mortar pit is already getting into action, lofting rounds out towards this garrison. Now, Brits in the meantime are trying to go. They've decapped. They were almost recapping the VP away from the OKW. And the OKW is finally losing a couple of tickets here. But to prevent any other kind of opportunistic capping, there goes a shoe mine. And there finally is the AEC. Alright, so we're finally seeing an AEC coming on in. The Germans are going for P2, so the P2 will easily take out the mortar emplacement, and the AEC, though, will keep that at a distance. So we're seeing move and counter move here, and the Flammenwerfer from the Sturmpioneer squad arriving just in time to watch the Vickers back away. And the Volksgrenadiers now in here as well. Ew, this is not a pleasant place for the UKF to be, as now their mortar pit is pretty much doomed. Pretty much. Not completely, mind you, but pretty much doomed. The Germans have lost a southern munitions point in the meantime. But with the AEC on the map against the P2, I won't say it's a crapshoot now again, because the AEC should be able to push us back, if nothing else, without even the assistance of the infantry sections plus the Vickers. But I guess I'm a little bit confused by the build order from Caesar on this one. P2 coming forward slightly? No, not quite. And Volksgrenadiers have run afoul of a British mine. We've got Werfer as well being called on in. That's a good call. And additionally, it does seem that the Sturmpioneers are able to keep everything at bay. And there it is. I think it's the Royal Artillery Regiment being called on in, I believe. Royal Engineer. Not Royal Artillery. Royal Engineer. P2 in the meantime has backed on up. AEC is pressuring out, and I think we're going to see ourselves a Faust. Yep. Faust comes up. Damages the engine from a great distance. The P2 might be able to charge on in, but that AEC is still very much upgunned by comparison. Our problem with the Royal Engineer Regiment is that while they have lovely little things like Designated Command Post and that vehicle crew repair, you gotta ramp up to much, much later. Especially get that AVRE, that point-and-click kind of dustbin mortar is fantastic if it survives long enough. But humorously enough, 488 to 359, we are seeing a triple cap for the Germans, which almost never happens with a machine gun in this particular position here. Now, the machine gun was out of it for a short bit of time. Regardless, I kind of feel like it shouldn't have actually happened in the first place. P2 moving on up, and the Vickers is going to try to engage these Volksgrenadiers. Might even be able to pressure some real damage off. AEC and the P2 exchange a little bit of firepower here. And we're going to get close enough for... Yep. Incendiary Grenade comes on in. The Vickers guy has to move or it is going to die. And it backs out of the garrison. For all the good that's going to do it. And the Kettenwerfer might get a round off. Yep. It'll get at least one round off, I should think. There we go. Though the Germans are going to pay a hefty price for having the troops so close. Volksgrenadiers, in the meantime, are able to continue to hold this church now, taking it away from the Brits. They have been decrewed off the Rakettenwerfer, which is a bit of a problem. But the Brits don't have anything to really contest this P2 too easily. Sure, the 6-pounder from range is pretty darn nice, but these Volksgrenadiers do some damage, and I didn't even notice the fact that he finally got rid of that mortar pit. Is that because of these bad boys? 3 kills, no. Who got the final kill from that? 2 and 3. Okay, so the Volksgrenadiers getting the final bit of damage on that. And with now the Brits, I wouldn't say completely on the run, but moderately on the run, Germans are expanding into another particular level here, but the fact that he's called in another medical supply crate says to me that maybe what he's doing is waiting so he can tech into that Schwerpanzer headquarters. Sure, he has to wait one more minute to do so, but think about it. If he can come up here and throw down the Schwerpanzer headquarters in something even not perfectly placed as here or even up here, he controls that center fairly easily. P2 in the meantime comes to the south, not a lot being done there. As the, oh no, Volksgrenadier gets hit rather hard, but Rakettenwerfer is on the fight and somehow can't see. Oh no, okay, no, he's gonna shoot rounds into the ground. That's fantastic, you fool. But alright, so Caesar in the meantime has gone and teched up into his bolster squads, which means one more guy can be added into each of these positions here. And the P2, with that 6-pounder crew completely gone, only thing that's going to keep that P2 at range, well, will be, well, not the Vickers for that much, but rather would be the AEC. But the AEC can get dove now like crazy. P2 in the meantime is just going to take out the only thing that really hurt him, which is to say the 6-pounder. So good decision there. Now the AEC shifts him back in, knowing that if to lose that 6-pounder means he's going to lose the war. So he's going to move back in, at least a vain attempt to take out his major competitor. AEC might get taken out. No, not quite. Flammenwerfers in the meantime, well, doing some good damage over here with the Royal Engineers as well as that Vickers. And I'm wondering if we're going to see, yep, I think it's going to be a Faust to pick up the AEC. Armor-piercing sniper being called out, and that's an interesting call right there. Animation cancel happens just before he throws off that Faust, and this should be close enough. Yep, there we go. Doesn't take him out. Doesn't take him out, but now he might just hop onto that 6-pounder. Yes, he does, and now that obligingly being posted right in front of him, he takes out the AEC. Now, with the armor-piercing sniper right here, I would not expect any of this anti-tank crew to make it out, especially moving back through negative cover. Oh, but never mind, here comes a wave of German reinforcements. Even with all these guys in negative cover as well, there's just so much rifle fire here that I don't believe, the Germans are going to be able to easily push this back, but they just had to run enough interference to pull back that 6-pounder, and they do. So 488 to 161 all throughout this time has just been a very, very quick drain of British resources. Dude, was he shooting a wounded guy? I think he just shot a wounded German who was just crawling on the ground. You monsters. Hector's calling GG. Caesar's not ready to throw in the towel. He says, VD, VD, maybe. He's not quite conquering just yet, but he's definitely seeing what he's up against. I think he's banking on this new AEC plus the armor-piercing sniper to keep the P2 at bay, at minimum. And then maybe trying to transition into a later... Ooh. I didn't even notice this. He pulled in battle group headquarters when I wasn't looking. And then try to transition to a later armor play. He's not even gone up to a company command post just yet. And indeed, I don't think he can even afford it for a bit of time. No, but the P2 finds out this armor-piercing sniper, and this guy is pretty much toast. Yep. So that's one of the major threats gone. While the AEC is coming in behind to take some pot shots at the P2, it shouldn't be too hard for him to disengage. And now 2 flamethrowers up here as well, doing some... Okay, yeah, you know what? He can even take out the P2, but who cares at this point? The Brits are really, really far behind, I would say. As now the Schwerpanzer headquarters is getting called on in. The P2 even makes it away And both of these Sturm Pioneer squads should really consider backing off right now. There we go. Pulling away before that last round comes on in. Mine's been detected down here to the south. Yes, it is. So that Schumann is getting picked off. And the Brits are threatening to climb out of the gutter. Not going to be easy to do so, though. Now there's a hard fire point protecting munitions point, as well as the center VP. They can definitely engage this garrison. There's not many attack paths anymore towards it. And Caesar's a long ways off before we get the AVRE, and he's nowhere near his company command post either. The 280 and the 115, and on top of that he needs another, what, 130, 140 to get himself any kind of decent tank. Germans coming swarming back down to the south, noticing that there's some mines being placed, and the Brits don't even put any of their own down as they pull back. So this will disappear as the Volksgrenadier squads start mobbing both of the various territory points down here to the south. On the plus side, the AEC is still alive, but what can you do with it? He's behind such a crazy amount of troops, and with now looks like defensive positions being called in on all of these points here. Sandbags galore, really. That is a modified 6 mine, okay. And there we go. So now the Schwerpanzer headquarters engages rather adventurous Tommy squads, and it's not going to go well either. So this right now is a beautiful, beautiful way of saying, screw you guys, Feuersturm Doctrine is totally viable. I would love to see a Hetzer coming on in, not just because a Hetzer is a kind of a lovely little piece of German equipment.
We're losing a capture point.
Well, because, that's kind of true actually. No, the Hetzer is a beautiful piece of German equipment, and in fact, he could be able to call it in the next minute or so if the game goes that long. That would just be fun. Meanwhile, down to the south, Germans engage. They run across that mine, so they take 40% casualties already. But those engineers are getting forced back and holding this mine equipment in the first place. Well, they kind of need to really reconsider what they are doing with their lives. One Vickers squad might get picked off. Not quite. And with the other Vickers squad doing some good damage, suppressing like crazy, there goes the P2. But both anti-tank guns are right here and going to push back the AEC. So the AEC is alive and the Germans are not. He even drops a squad of Volksgrenadiers, but again, it's 485 to 34. The Germans could just throw bodies and just continue this drain. It's just they're covering the south, there's no problem there. And all he has to do is keep these guys further away from the south for another 15-20 seconds. And he's done that. He's done that easily, so the Brits have to come through, take back both the north and the south, because they're not going to take the center. And there's the Flampanzer coming on in, so I don't think he's even going to get a real chance at play here. But look how cute the little Flampanzer is. That thing looks like a Terrier. A Terrier with a flamethrower on top of it. And now that's GG being called. And then a stunningly quick 18-minute and like, what, 25-second game? Sorry, 27-second game. Hector takes out Caesar by ending score 485 to nothing in just under 18.5 minutes. A beautiful, beautiful play selecting Feuersturm and then leveraging those early Flammenwerfers against the German, a British player who really didn't know what to do against that. So let that be a lesson to you guys. First of all, tech up. Look how much fuel Caesar had at the end of this. And maybe as good as a mortar pit could be on this map, maybe don't waste your time going with that. You want to pull in a couple of AECs, do that, that's fine. But I think slowing up the AEC production in favor of that mortar pit instead kind of really screwed the pooch for Caesar. Regardless, great play over here for Hector, unlucky over here for Caesar. And folks, that's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for tuning on in. As always, if you have a game you want me to check on out, hit me up in the comments below or email me at connorwargaming@gmail.com. A new patch has just hit, so any replays I might have gotten the last week or so are unfortunately now dead. What's more, if you want to tune in a little bit later today, we will be streaming some Steel Division Normandy 44 along with Rangru over on Twitch, and I will try to remember to put the channel link in the description below because I never seem to do that correctly. That's going to do it for me today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you all next time. Connor signing out. Take it easy.